Next I have, so Marta,
Here.
Emily,
Here.
Paul, here, and Brad Houck is here, and Jack is traveling, is out of town, I believe. Okay, so with that, uh, let's do the opening. I'm sorry?
I saw us jumping the gun.
Oh, yeah, okay. Opening anxious. A word of silence before prayer, open the meeting. Heavenly Father, we thank you for your love for us. We thank you for the privilege we have to serve our community through this activity. We pray that you guide us tonight, that all discussion would be orderly and cooperative. We ask that you would open our eyes to best path forward as decisions that are made and discussion is held. We thank you again for your care for us, for your blessings upon us. We pray these things in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen.
Okay. Pledge to the American flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now to the Texas flag. On the honor Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to the Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Okay. Comments from the public. I think we have one person, Mr. Charles Shirley. Would you like to address the group tonight?
Yes, please. Hi, I'm Charles Shirley. I'm a member of the Hospital District Board, and I'm running for Appraisal Board. And I'm asking here to ask for your vote. The reason I would like to be on the board is I feel like there's, well, I know for a fact that our board has come up for the last 3 years short in the amount of taxes that we've collected because the current appraisal district, I believe, is over appraising properties. And what's happening is there's a lot of people challenging their appraisals, which is great. And I think that's wonderful if they challenge and they win. But the problem is it lowers the amount that you actually collect, and it makes it difficult for taxing entities in the county to make sure that they balance their budget and they meet the goals that they have. Now, for example, the hospital district, we handle the ambulances in the county, and we do about, this year, our tax was supposed to be about 50 million. That's what we budgeted. I do not believe we're actually going to collect 50 million because so many of the houses have been overappraised and the number of people challenging is still very high. The last chief appraiser was let go by the county for this exact same reason, because not only did we come up $1 million short, the county itself came up a lot more short than we did. And I don't know if it's affected you guys or not, but it has affected our agency. So I feel like that I'd like to be on the appraisal board because I don't feel like they're providing enough oversight over the chief appraiser and her staff. The new chief appraiser was the assistant to the former chief appraiser, and the new chief appraiser has not made any changes to overcome this issue. Now, we've had to update and change our budget to come up and handle these shortfalls of $1 million, $1.5 million, and almost 2 million, right? But they have not made any changes to their processes. So that's one reason I would like to be on the board is to deal with that issue. Secondly, the current election that's going on right now should have happened a year ago. So 5 of the individuals that's on the board, their terms ran out at midnight on December 31st, 2024. So they're operating without authority. And so I think that indicates that there's issues in the appraisal office that need to be taken care of. And I would like to be on the board to help guide in that direction. So anyway, that's all the reason I came. Does anybody have any questions? Yes.
If you go on this board, will you have to give up your?
No. Matter of fact, to serve on the appraisal board, anyone who serves on any of the taxing entities can serve on that board. So like, for example, you guys are on this board, you could serve on that board.
Which is the case currently where we have Arthur representing us, and he's also a MUD director. So,
All righty. Well, very good. Anything else?
Thanks for coming.
All right. Well, thank you. Have a good day.
Thanks.
Well, that's item 3. Any requests for adjustments? Anything?
I have one.
Okay.
I do not. Okay, I have one, his address is 2 Gentry Oak, William Bang. He would, look, I can talk, the appraisal district obviously raised, took away his exemptions. Okay, and the bill never went out. So he got a late bill, a delinquent notice. And, because it was our era, not sending the bill out, don't know what happened because some of them went out, his did not. He's asking for 141.60 of penalty and interest to be waived, which it does fall into the category of waivement.
Yeah, it's our issue. Yeah, sounds like we ought to make
Yeah.
that. All in favor? Aye. Okay, right. Okay, so you'll process that and,
Yes.
okay, great. Okay, consent agenda, pages 1 through 29. Anybody comments or questions on it, or do we have a second? I guess I had one comment on page 4. Talked about the annual report being mailed out. And I didn't see that on the agenda topic, but I see we do have a draft.
Annual update.
So we'll cover that as part of today's discussion then. Right. Okay. If nobody has any questions on the consent agenda, can I have a motion that we pass the consent agenda?
I make a motion that we pass the consent agenda as.
Do we have a second? Second. Thank you, Paul.
So I didn't wake us all up.
Are you awake?
Well, what about the rest of you?
Okay, all in favor of passing the consent agenda, say aye. Aye. Okay, we're done with the consent agenda. So now we're into regular agenda item 10. Jeannie, you want to walk us through our appraisal district activity? Starting on page 30.
Okay, you have the ballot. You should have the original up there. There, I don't know how many do you supposed to get? Yeah, you have 5. And then.
Oh, the ballots are,
Yeah, you
Have
have
the
it
ballot.
all up there. Are they in?
Oh, in
They're
the
in-
folder
In the
perhaps?
folder.
yeah, okay.
The resolution is there and the number of votes you get.
Oh, that's.
It should be in your packet, yeah, on page, you said page 32, Brian?
Yes,
33.
you get 5 votes.
Yeah, okay. So,
You can split those votes, you can vote for one person. How you want to distribute them.
Luis Perdaza, didn't he run for something else? Or he is serving? There, he ran for it last time.
yeah, so prior to this, the MUDs and some other areas, entities, including the hospital district, are in a subcategory of taxing groups. And Brian and Eric, keep me honest on this, okay? We have an opportunity to nominate candidates. We vote on our candidates. The candidate that our subgroup of entities elect then goes into a general election to become one of potential 5 appointed people that go on the appraisal board. So prior to this meeting, entities have made nominations. On page 32 are the people that are nominated. Those are the only people we can vote for. We need to decide tonight how we want to split our vote based upon the amount that we are have taxed or appraised. We have 5 votes we can distribute those 5 votes among 5 candidates, or we can group them among 1 or more candidates. So
Their resumes are in here too.
the resumes are in there. Charles Shirley took the time to come and talk to us. I think that says a lot about his level of interest. So, I don't know if anybody wants to speak on behalf of another candidate. We want to align around one candidate, multiple candidates. I'll be happy to let you guys speak for a little bit before I try to influence anybody.
That's the only incumbent is Arthur.
Pardon?
Arthur is the only one that's currently serving.
Yes. Yeah, he's incumbent. Okay,
What mud is he from?
Metro.
Metro. He lives in 47. He was a former 47 board member. That was brought up in the previous meeting is of these candidates who are actual residents of the Woodlands.
Are there any?
That, I don't know where they all live, to be honest with you.
I don't either.
One of the directors in Bud One said they looked up all the people who were candidates and said that Arthur was the only resident. Arthur and maybe Bruce.
Yeah.
Bruce,
Yes, Bruce moved.
yes, did he move?
I don't know.
I think that was noted that he and
It was
Arthur
Bruce and
were,
Arthur.
they knew that they were residents. There were others that weren't.
They were not residents, yeah.
Yeah, Arthur has been on the board from 2018 to 2019, 2022 to 2024. And he's currently on it also. Right, doesn't show. Well, I guess 2024 was, yeah, his term was supposed to end.
Hold up.
He was supposed to end at 2024. The board has struggled to be properly managed. The fact they didn't hold the election last year when they were supposed to is a major concern that I have. And then the turmoil they've had with the dismissal of people and other things.
So are we just replacing one person or the entire board?
There are 5 positions that'll be appointed.
Or
There's-
elected, but that's not this year, that'll be next year. Elected.
And then the chief appraisal is some sort of special member of the board.
The,
No, the
the tax
Tax
assessment collector,
assessor.
Tammy McRae, yeah,
Yeah.
ex officio, I think how
Yeah.
it was designated.
Yeah, okay. So these are multi-year terms.
2-year terms,
2-year
where
terms.
they're trying to get it to 4 years, so you'll have it again in May. It's gonna take a couple of years to get to 4, they'll be staggered terms, yeah.
So our Texas state government changed this the last legislative session.
Yes.
And
That
we're,
had elected positions.
yeah. And they're kind of working through how they operationalize it. Bill. If there's no other comments, I mean, I nominate that we support Charles Shirley. Anybody else want to nominate anybody else? And then we can take a vote.
Have 5 votes, so then we have to talk about how
We
we're
have one in
distributing those.
abstain.
If there's no other nominations, we just,
Oh, they're all there.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
If he's not here, how does he vote?
he doesn't.
Oh, so we only take 4 votes then?
No, we're empowered to,
We have 5 votes
we get
to
5
these people,
votes.
not our vote, but as a whole.
Yeah, they represent the MUD votes. So we have a quorum as a MUD, so we will vote. If there's somebody else that wants to distribute votes to, we can consider that. That's why I asked if there was anybody else
Okay,
that wanted. So Charles is, part of the hospital board. I expect he will be supported by the hospital board, which gives him a significant starting point to build upon.
I know 2 other people on this board or that are running, both Luis Pedraza, and he's just He's a good guy. His resume's in there. He's not, he's a precinct chair. And Dale Inman, does work on SD4 as a representative for the GRAC. He's very involved in the community. Dale. Mhm. And I can see him just being able to tie people together and across different areas to help make decisions. So there's having collective discussions.
Are you making a nomination?
I was just opening the, I was just giving background.
Appreciate that.
I know Luis Pedraza from the elections, and he was very nice, informed.
Yeah, I mean, there's a number of
Okay.
folks that are, outstanding community engaged.
Hmm.
You need to be sensitive to how you progress from this stage of voting to the next stage of voting.
So I guess the question is, after we put our 5 votes in, all 10 put their votes in, how do we, as a MUD grouping, go forward in those votes? How do those votes count? Like, if let's just say, as an example, we put all 5 of ours behind Charles. And, everybody votes, maybe they're doing 5 different people and 1 vote each. Is it just the amount of how many votes total through all 10?
No, the special districts have 1,008 votes. Okay, you're considered a special district, a reclamation district. There's 1,008. You have to get 10% of that. So whoever gets 108 or better is the one that goes on the general ballot. If nobody gets that, then we start over.
Oh, wow. Okay. Thank you for.
And then it's just whoever gets the most.
So it's best to put it all together, I guess, is what.
That's my interpretation, yeah.
Right, and I would motion to put all 5 behind Charles.
Okay,
I will second it.
we have a vote. Any other nominations that MUD 7 wants to consider? Okay, so let's vote on, all in favor of putting MUD 7 5 votes to Charles, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. So I can,
Fill that out and then I'll get it over to the appraisal district.
be resolved by MUD 7. And yes. Thanks so much. And thanks for explaining that to us. Okay. Water Smart, item 11. So there are some questions about authorizing the submittal for the Water Smart application. I think there was some information posted. Kim, you want to comment and then we'll make a motion?
Yeah, so last month we had the resolution for the submittal of the application on the agenda. I know you guys had several questions and wanted to review the application to get a little more familiar with the program. Shelley did post that out on the Google Drive for y'all to take a look at it. And if you have any other questions, I'll be happy to answer them. Other than that, we do need approval of the resolution. We would recommend approval of the resolution so that we can go ahead and get the application submitted by the March 5th deadline. So.
Thank you for posting that. I
Yeah.
did review it. And I was the one who asked.
No,
to-
great questions. Yeah, yeah.
I'm comfortable.
Want to make a motion then?
Hold on, I'll get the right name.
Yeah, that's it. Should be page 41.
Thanks. All right, so I move that we move the resolution approving submittal of the Water Smart application for inclusion in the Associations of Water Board Directors Partners Program that has been brought forward, that we submit everything as written.
Second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Thank you for that. Okay. Thanks, Kim, for following us up, getting up to speed on that. And I think resolving some of the confusion between this Water Smart and our Water Smart.
That's right. Yeah, I think we were all on the same page after you mentioned that, so I wasn't even making that connection initially. So yeah, thank you.
Clarifying everything.
Okay, page 42 is our next agenda topic, which is a holdover from November or December. And so Carver Engineering, I don't know whether, Eric, you want to speak to this?
Sure,
It's pretty
yeah.
straightforward.
It's pretty straightforward. So we're in phase 2 or year 2 of the sanitary sewer rehabilitation analysis or project. As I mentioned before, several years ago, the mud sanitary sewer portion was evaluated for condition. And it was identified that there was a handful of things that were to be done across all the muds. It was identified that the overall repairs would be handled over the course of 3 years or 3 phases. And so it was broken up into 3. Last year, October-ish, we finished phase 1. And as phase 1 was in construction, phase 2 was in design. And once phase 2 was designed and approved, then it was advertised to bid. The bids did come in. And the engineer's estimate was $1,446,000, and the low bidder came in at $1,447,000. So pretty remarkable
Yeah, it is.
numbers on that magnitude. That's pretty awesome. So Garver made, as required by TCQ, Garver made recommendation of award to Texas Pride, the low bidder. Coincidentally, Texas Pride was the contractor that just finished phase 1. So we had experience with them. They did a good job, and I didn't see any need to hold up the recommendation to Texas Pride or bump them to go to number 2. So we concur with the recommendation. I just need the board's concurrence, and we'll get the contract let.
Okay, I have a motion to authorize.
A motion.
Second.
Second. Any more discussion needed? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. I didn't see anything for us to sign on this one.
It's
I
not,
just need a,
just need concurrence.
okay,
I didn't mention, and your share was just under 2, where was it? Yeah, 166,000. So you're not a big monster player here, but you do have a share in it. And so your portion of sanitary will get addressed.
okay. Moving on to item 13, exemptions for taxation. So this is a follow-up from last month. The baseline was 20,000, and there was a request to look at some other scenarios, the 25 and 30,000. So I'll turn it over, I guess. Any you want to talk about?
Adam is here.
Adam's going to talk about it. Okay.
So
Adam?
you have the table, looks like this, so I'll run through it really quickly and just to remind you, you do this at the beginning of every year.
What
There's
page is this?
46.
46.
There's 2 types of exemptions that you can grant. There's a general homestead, which is percent based. You already grant 20%, that's the max. The other is over 65 and disabled. That's a dollar amount and it's not capped. You currently do have 20,000. I'll run through the table really quickly. In blue is your current scenario. Your total income, that top line, 3.8 million, net of your M&O revenue. Your total expenses, 5.33 million. So it's showing a deficit of 1.5 million. But you look at the next line, the 1.2 billion is your January 1 certified value. That based on your maintenance tax rate of 11.0802 generates 1.3 million, meaning that your overall deficit is about 210,000. That's assuming 98% collections. And then in bold at the bottom, your total average homestead before that over 65 is 362,680, with the 20,342,680. And at the current tax rate, that means your average tax bill is $380. And so what that means is your current scenario grants roughly $22 in benefit for those that qualify. So moving to the right, if you grant another 5,000, that would be, if you look all the way at the bottom line, an additional $6 a year in savings, because your tax rate is so low. And then if you look over all the way,
Before you go, at least scenario one though, but our operating surplus deficit, our deficit increases from 210 to 215.
correct,
Right,
it does
yeah.
cost you around $4,900 for each 5,000 of additional exemption granting. And then if you look at note B, you currently have 885 residences that have qualified and filed for over 65, and there are 22 that have currently filed and qualify for disabled.
How many residents do we have total? 1,300?
3201, 3201 seems to be all of the numbers that we have for hookups, is that right?
3201? I think she gave it to us last week. I thought it was 1,000.
For Med 7? You talking Med 7? Are you talking over
Med 7.
65?
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
yeah, total. hookups.
No.
Okay.
Over 65 is 885, 22.
You just mentioned 885 that were over 65 and
Over
62
65.
filed
Yeah.
that were disabled.
So I'm talking total. Like,
About 3,000.
I'm looking it up.
That were a little over 3,000
Yeah.
as far as our total hookups.
so what is your recommendation?
He doesn't have.
It's a-
Yeah, it's ultimately a board decision. You
Yeah.
don't have any debt outstanding, so really, you know, it's,
$6.
yeah.
So I have a recommendation or a comment. I won't make a recommendation yet, but we're already $210,000 in deficit. If we do this, we go up to, we just increase our deficit. Okay, so we benefit essentially, 1,000 people. But as a MUD, we increase the debt that we're operating under. If you look at page 45,
But what about the tax rate we just adjusted a couple months ago? Would that figure in because we're adding almost 350,000 more because of our tax?
that's in here. That's the 11,082.
Is that right?
0802.
That's at your current, yes.
Yeah.
Current levy.
What we approved.
We approve.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit, confusing how the tax code sets up the order of these things. So what you're looking at right now are exemptions for 2025 that will be coupled with the tax rate that you won't set until September of this year. So I get what you're doing. You're looking at the budget for this current year, but of course that includes a $750,000 large ditch repair. So,
Right.
yeah, we haven't seen the budget for
Right.
this next year, so it's hard to really say what the ultimate impact will be on the budget that you build in the fall.
Well, the impact will be similar, just a matter of what the base is.
Correct. Are there expenses that are similar to this year, or do you have a reduction from the large one-time items?
And I'll say to Brad's point on page 45, if you look at the other districts that have, there are 24 exemptions, you guys are middle of the road relative to your partner districts.
Can we make up that deficit?
Oh, we can increase the tax rate next year.
Yeah,
I
you
mean,
can do
that's
that.
not our, I mean.
Are we ready for that?
Keep going with.
I'm sorry?
The residents will make up the difference.
Right. I'm over 65, so I got to be a little careful. I don't want to have a personal gain here at the expense of everybody else.
Right.
But I mean, that's what we're talking about, right? Or we go differentiate, or we go,
3 or 4 of us.
To get
three-
bigger.
3 out of 5 are over 60.
right, yeah.
4 out of 5.
4 on 5, okay?
I'm not sure about this.
You're sweet.
So
You have a little over 3,400 accounts for your residential, and then with business personal property, it's 3,583 total, including your residential.
And so you already, I guess I was
I guess we're stuck.
kind of, I don't, of all the things I know little about, taxes are probably the top. But to me, we've already got, the Senate has passed a bill, right? It's gonna give us 140,000
For the school,
homestead exemption.
for the school district.
Right. I'm just saying that they're gonna get a little help there. And if you're over 65, it's gonna be 150 grand. So, I mean, I just hate deficits. I don't see any reason to give somebody, how much is a person gonna save? You said how many?
And it's
$6.
$6.
$6 a
Yeah,
year.
I mean, that's beautiful. What am I can't buy a hamburger.
I mean, you could go to Starbucks.
Once.
It's like,
And get,
Oh, depends on what you buy.
you buy black coffee with
Not the
the
fancy stuff,
toast.
just the regular.
well,
Latte.
it
I
does,
just drink coffee. I don't.
I appreciate this,
But I'm saying, again, if it's a deficit, it's that we don't know where we're going. To me, it's a big step to take. And what I hate worse than get them a little gift is tell them next year that it's gonna go up, because that's gonna go on here. Or we tell everybody this year we raised taxes. Cause we gave you $6 last year.
Only some people $6.
That's what I mean. Exactly. Only those people will know what happened. I just,
well, I just saw that.
Negligible, yeah. So when you see the big picture like that, it's very helpful. So
And I
thank you
think
for
some
that.
districts have options because their values and they might not have as many 65 and older. And so it's good to see the background on it. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I think some of the ones that have 35,000 have more commercial property than we do.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, ours lacks that.
And that's, so.
Good explanation.
So are we ready to entertain a motion to
Maintain.
maintain or set it at 20,000?
I make a motion to maintain the exemptions at 20,000.
Paul, from your financial analysis, you're good with that, right?
Yeah, yes, yeah.
Travis, second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor of reporting 20,000 from Med 7, say aye.
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 Thank you.
Double I.
Okay, so that's, maybe we could do that one. Chris,
Me already,
normally we're up early and we're,
starting to fall asleep. No,
Sprinting here.
tax talk is always interesting. Only have one item to talk about tonight. On page 69 of your packet is the part of the excess funds memo. As y'all know, every year after,
you give us a chance, the monthly operating, any
Yeah.
questions or comments before we get jumped?
however you like to go.
You know, because that's your topic, the first part, right?
Yeah.
Any,
I don't have.
I don't know.
good job on the water loss?
So I did watch your meeting from last month since I wasn't here, and there was a question why the rolling 12-month was higher, so much higher than the other one. That is because back in, I think it was September, October last year, we had a water system issue in Alden Bridge, and we had to do a lot of flushing. Water loss at that time for that month was 11.6%. So that's going to raise it up.
I guess one thing I wouldn't, on 51 and maybe on 52, it looks like we're growing our reserve for the year relative to our budget.
Not intentionally.
Well, I mean, it's fine.
Right.
I mean, we're selling more water and we're not spending the incremental money, full incremental money that we get for the revenue.
Right. And in some cases, some of this is capital like vehicles. It's a smaller amount of it, but we've ordered vehicles. They haven't arrived just yet. So there's 120,000 or so from that. Some of the maintenance projects that we thought we'd normally be able to do in the fall weren't able to. Wet weather, colder weather, whatever it may be. So those are going to be pushed till the spring, like painting and stuff like that. So winter is usually where we get revenue and don't have as many expenses. So. But that is also the reason we held the rates steady on the sewer side and dropped the water side, trying to mitigate having any excess funds and only charge what's needed.
But I mean, if we continue the trend, we'll have some excess funds in the year. Anybody else have any comments on the? I guess 1661. I passed this on to Ed Tuesday or Wednesday. Well, you got monthly and fiscal year to date. If you could put a comment on there to note what the current month is and what's included in the fiscal year to date, so you can tell, because different reports have different bases, different pages. Some are through November, some are through December. Some look like they might even, some of the operating data is through January.
Correct. And GRP is always a month behind, so this should be December's, whereas the Woodlands is going to be for January. So yeah, not a problem.
Well, but you look at page 59, it's through October.
Okay.
So,
well, now next month the financials should be caught up, so that should track with the actual December or January at that point in time. But yeah, I can put dates.
yeah, I did. I mean, just I was trying to look at when you look at page 61 where you've got year to date, because our usage is not linear. It peaks and comes down.
Right.
And you're trying to look at, well, what's this on a monthly basis? You try to figure out, well, how many months is included in there? And
Yeah, divide by 4 or 5, 6.
yeah,
Gotcha.
okay.
Not a problem.
And then you look at page 62, it's through November. So it's like, okay, what?
I got you.
Okay.
Not a problem.
And you wanted to take us to 67, right?
69 when you're ready.
69, 67 starts the discussion though, right?
Yeah, 67 is the beginning of the excess funds, and I'll just walk through it. Page 67 is a general cover letter that kind of explains what the excess funds are, how we came about it, where the excess funds came from, and then what we recommend propose to do with the funds. A couple things to note. The very first paragraph on page 67, this is a draft document. That's because the resolution states that we have to wait until after 6 months of the fiscal year and redo the calculation on excess funds to determine if we're at or above 90% of revenue budgeted for the year. Right now, we're obviously just a couple weeks shy of the 6 months, which is right around March 1st. But we are at 102% revenue. So I don't expect us to lose that, $3 or $4 or $5 million in a month. On this page, if we had recommended projects, you'd also see some statements saying we're recommending these projects and then allow y'all to discuss and trustees to approve it. The one thing this year is we did not identify any projects to pull forward from the budget or the R&R, so we are recommending a full refund to the MUDs. That was presented to the trustees by Ed last Wednesday and the audit committee, I think the week prior to that. And so that was our recommendation. Page 68 is the long calculation that we go through to determine the excess funds. Page 69 is the meat and potatoes of it, which actually shows what the FY24 water sales were and then what the refund proposed is to each MUD. So the bottom table on page 69, MUD 7 had just about 6.5% of the water sales. So that equates to about $337,000 in a refund. Now, the document after that in its entirety, since we do have new directors, that is the resolution that established the R&R fund, talked about emergency reserves, as well as the excess funds and how they're to be handled.
We have a recommendation from the River Authority that we refund the excess funds to the MUDs, which would bring us $337,700.
which would cover a deficit.
And this is a financial item, so it is acted on. I think it was acted on by the trustees, so it's a trustee vote. So there's no action today for this MUD. It's just information.
That's good for us.
Okay.
That's all you could give it.
That's it.
I could have given you more, but you had to buy more water.
Oh, always a hook.
You can try better now. I mean, you're still in the midst of it, right? Knock off the conservation.
Go home and water your yard.
Yes, in the rain.
Okay. That is all I had unless you had any questions on anything else.
Any other questions for Chris? Okay, you go do 15 also, the
Fair Branch?
Bear Branch.
No, sir.
I was, so that's there. I can.
Okay.
We had a stakeholder meeting a few weeks ago, as you recall. The stakeholders, MUDs requested that the engineering firm kind of go back to the drawing board and look at a couple scenarios of the model, and they did that. And so that meeting was to hear that. The main focus was to identify if there was another scenario that might create as equal or better benefit that was originally contemplated in the original analysis. And it was identified that through those the completion of those two models, that both models did not create as much benefit as the original model did. So the trustees requested that the engineer come back, kind of package the original scenario up, identify what the specific benefits are related to mobility through research forest and the immediate area, to identify what the benefit will be in terms of, keep in mind the reduction in water surface elevation on research in the surrounding areas for the modeled storm event, which was tax day storm event. So that's what they'll be doing. And then once we have that information, we'll likely bring it back to the stakeholder again to see what the next step is.
Have there been any efforts to reach out to other entities about, I mean, it's not just us MUDs that suffer from.
There is conversation going on at this point to try to identify other partners, other potential partners.
Good.
Yes.
That'll help
If they say yes.
a lot, hopefully.
And you and Jack are engaged in,
Yeah, we were
Sorry.
both there at that meeting and very accurate report.
okay,
Good, we have good involvement with the stakeholders, good questions and
Yeah, a lot of
a lot of activity.
thought.
well, thanks, Eric. Item 16, Brian, anything before you go on to your other items?
Just brief legislative update. So as we reported at the trustee meeting last week, actually at the trustee meeting, I don't think they had appointed committees yet. So they have done that from the time of the trustee meeting until now. So committees have been appointed on the House side. Things are very slow going there. Ledge Council's pretty backed up with bills, as we expected things would be with the change in the speaker position. So we're actively monitoring legislation, working with AWBD on behalf of the industry, and then of course, specific district client matters. Early on, I would say there's a handful of bills that we're watching. One that would unfortunately take away the distinction between developed and developing districts. So there was a lot of effort to have that distinction made for districts that are in active development. It doesn't impact the Woodlands that much, but there's a bill introduced to do away with that. Some bills that would change timing on when you have to publish agendas. You would have to publish them 3 business days instead of 3 calendar days in advance, which, creates some administrative changes here if that were to pass. Limitations on disconnections on Fridays or weekends or what have you for water service. A few other, what I would call minor bills. One that would prohibit the placement of funds with intergovernmental pools that are not managed by the comptroller. So right now, a lot of entities use Textpool, Techstar, et cetera. So could impact that. Don't know how it would impact potential yields on rates that would be able to be achieved. But I always caution folks early on in the session. I mean, A, there's still a good amount of time for bills to be introduced. B, even when we do know what the full universe of bills are that have been introduced, there's about a 85% or so kill rate on bills. So very few ultimately make it to the finish line. So it's early in the session. They have until the end of May. Happy to answer questions if you have them.
Deadline for introducing new bills is mid-March.
For general law bills, local law bills can be later, but you're just dealing with the race to the finish line because you got to get through the House and the Senate.
Yeah.
So from a practical matter, it gets pretty tough.
Any other questions for Brian? Okay, you want to take us to next one?
I can cover the next two items. So item 17 relates to adopting additional meeting places outside the boundaries of the district. So currently you have this location as an out of district meeting location. But with the effort that Eric has undertaken to be able to have some joint MUD meetings to discuss both proposed river authority projects and potential MUD, Woodlands water-wide infrastructure projects. We need to have other meeting places besides here. This building, of course, is not conducive to having large joint meetings. So we've looked into the community center across the street, and Shelley's been able to get some reservations there for some of these initial meetings. Also, the townships building, I think there were some challenges to be able to get reservations for these initial meetings, but we want to have that available going forward. So we've added that as an additional meeting location as well. So now you'll have 3 out-of-district meeting locations. Water code requires that we adopt a order establishing those out-of-district meeting locations. And then after it's established, we have to publish notice in the newspaper, also in accordance with the water code.
And the training room down at the trim plant one's not,
We didn't use that because we thought
but
that,
we have in the past for other things. Does that need to be included in?
that's one that we were not for MUD related, joint meetings if a particular.
Now, we've had some all MUD meetings down there.
Yeah, it's just if we have full attendance, it's not big.
No, I understand that, but I'm just wondering, should it be on the list of out-of-district locations?
Yeah, I mean, it's a matter of these are going to be, public meetings. You want to make sure you've got room for all the directors, for members of the public, et cetera. So that was the.
No.
We can add it later.
Always add it.
It's not a big deal to
Y'all
go
want
through.
to.
Okay, I just want to make sure we're.
Yeah.
Dotting all the i's, crossing t's.
Yeah.
Right, so do we need a approval?
Yes,
Yes.
a motion to approve the order of authorized publication. So
I make a motion to approve of the order establishing outside offices and meeting places.
Second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay. On the minutes, can you include what 3 sites were approved?
Who said?
Well, this one plus.
Yeah. Raised Briggs, yeah.
I give the next one too?
Yep.
Fun
So,
topic.
yeah, the next one is what I refer to as the TikTok orders. I know there's other, software developers and stuff on there as well, but there's a executive summary in your packet. You've probably heard a lot in the news about the federal legislation that bans TikTok and the stay that the president put on the enforcement of that legislation and the different suitors who are trying to purchase the U.S. operations of TikTok. The Texas legislature has also passed a law that prohibits TikTok and some of these other related software and developer groups from having software or any sort of access to government-owned this is Texas state entity owned or lease devices. So for probably 95% plus of MUDs, they don't own any computers or laptops or what have you. Of course, Woodlands Water, we do. And so I have visited with Eric about the policy, and he said that Woodlands Water is in compliance, and so it shouldn't be an issue to be able to implement this policy. The list there of developers and software and what have you, that was current as of, I guess it was a few weeks ago when it was pulled off the Department of Information Resources website. The last meeting, somebody brought up a router or server or something. This is a little bit out of my wheelhouse, but was asking about, well, why is this one not on the list? I mean, good question. And I said, the way the statute is set up is it focuses on TikTok and then any other groups or software, what have you, that's declared by the governor by proclamation as being prohibited. So it's an organic document that tracks the statutory language of public policy. So it's TikTok or anything else that is declared prohibited by a proclamation of the governor under that statute. You'll see that language in.
I think I read today that Abbott had about 7 or 8 of them that they must be software stuff because they're not common names as far as social media, but TikTok and like 7 or 8 things that I even mentioned they weren't supposed to be on state employees' personal phones.
Yeah. So that's the list that was current as of a few weeks, or I guess a week or two ago, was on page 86. And again, the Texas Department of Information Resources updates that list periodically with any additional software or applications, developers, and hardware products that have been declared by proclamation of the governor to be prohibited under the statute. And so if you look on page 88 of your packet on the policy there, under section section B, it says the covered application is social media service TikTok, and then number 2 there says a social media application or service specified by proclamation of the governor. So that's how it's an organic document that will capture future things that are prohibited.
How do they deem this list?
That is the governor. And don't ask me what these things are because I'm not super technological.
I don't know if I got them or not.
I couldn't really tell you. I hear it's popular with the kids.
Must be good.
So we have
Not mine, because I'll block it.
a recommendation from Brian that we adopt this policy. It is something we need to do to maintain compliance. And any more questions for Brian or Eric related to this?
Okay.
I'm sorry, Paul's turn.
I second.
Yeah.
You're gonna make a motion?
Yeah, I'm not gonna make the motion.
Okay, so we need a motion.
I make a motion that we adopt policy number ADM-70 regarding covered applications and prohibited technology.
Thank you, Marty.
Second.
And Paul seconds, and we all in favor say aye. Aye. Okay. Eric,
All right.
we're under construction, I see. Or is there another handout coming, or is it?
It's right here on the table if you got it.
No, I didn't.
We are making some adjustments. Going forward, we're going to be.
You have.
I asked.
We're gonna be adding some more information across a lot of the stuff that we do day in, day out. We haven't typically included that in our report, but going forward, we'd like to start including more of things that we're doing out. Just so you can get an idea of some of the things we're doing. I know not all of it will apply to each district specifically. As you can tell, that first page is obviously didn't happen in MUD 7, but wanted you to kind of have the total packet. And then what we'll try to do, as you can see, is identify in the header on each, as you go through it, what district it applies to.
So right now, Med 7 has nothing.
More to come. No, there's a few things in there for Med 7 as well. So more to come, more information that will be coming out. So we want to be basically be more transparent and bring more things to the front just so you can see it. So it's a work in progress, but moving forward. Couple other updates. I did want to update that the what would have been my first GRP meeting was canceled due to the freeze in January. So next meeting is on this coming Monday. I did meet with SDRA and get a orientation binder and talk on various things related to the committee. I also met with Brad. We had a good conversation and Kim a couple weeks ago. I think it was a couple weeks ago, whatever it was. Went over the packet and then talked about goals and various things that we'd like to accomplish. So we'll continue to have those. We already have the next meeting scheduled. We'll kind of meet in between meetings after the last one, getting ready for the next one kind of thing. And what I'll likely do from a report standpoint is I'll likely have a GRP committee update in the trustee meeting. And then we'll document that in the trustee summary for the MUDs. So I won't necessarily bring up it in here unless there's a big thing or something we need to pull out, whatever, just kind of as is. So that's going forward. We are continuing to run all the ditches and continue to capture all the assets and ditch condition, pipe condition forward in the ditches. So we're continuing with that ongoing process to get that updated. We did have our second community work group meeting in a couple of weeks ago. That was a really good meeting. It was the main topics that we went through is kind of the relationship between WWA, SDRA, the MUDs. We kind of broke out the different assets related to each of those entities, what our relationship, what our responsibilities are, and then broke out the kind of how the funding works for depending on what kind of project it is or what isn't, whether it's a mud project or whether it's a facility, whatnot. So we went through that. Didn't talk about any specific projects specifically, particularly any unfunded projects or anything like that. The Water Renewable the Woodlands website does have some project write-ups on current projects that are going on, but nothing future or anything that the MUDs haven't contemplated. So it was a really good meeting, really good involvement there. I did want to report that there's been a change on the submittal of the matrix worksheet that everybody developed. So the consultant that Corello requested that we hold off giving it to them. We were going to give it to them January 31st. They said, look, we don't need it. They have more work to do on the structural condition based stuff. And so don't bother until we're further along, which is fine. So I'll hold that off. What I have done in the meantime is collated all 10 of them into one spreadsheet, into a one pager that I'll be passing out to everybody once I send it to them. So you'll get to see how all the MUDs kind of picked side by side.
Can you give us any high level observations? Are we all, is it a shotgun or is it a narrowly focused?
I did look at it. I will say that on many line items, there's a pretty heavy consensus. Probably, I'm guessing 60-70% of them are pretty consistent. And then there's probably 40-ish% that there's a variety. Yeah, it's kind of a mix. So there's maybe only one or two categories I'm going off memory that it was all the same across the board. There's either one, maybe one, something like that. There's at least one outlier in most of the line items. So
We'll look forward to seeing the full summer.
absolutely. There was an item I did want to bring up. Brad brought it to my attention, another director, another MUD brought it up. And this I think hit the social media world in the community. And we see this from time to time throughout the year. I think the scenario is a resident had a plumber, looking at their water system, and the plumber is, I think, selling some water quality, equipment, RO, I'm not sure, and kind of flashes this, this document from what ends up being a nonprofit organization that has created their own kind of water quality guidelines. And if you go on their website, they suggest that we're in violation or not meeting water quality. And that kind of seems to be used as a tool to maybe sell some equipment, perhaps. I can say that, and I don't really, not getting involved in the organization or the plumber, and all that scenario. What I will say is the Woodlands Water across the Woodlands meets all requirements for water quality, safety, et cetera. Meets EPA, TCEQ. In fact, it has been deemed a superior water system by the state of Texas. So that's what I can say about it. And so the misinformation is maybe a little frustrating to some of the customers. Coincidentally, through the strategic communication plan that we implement throughout the year and was just reapproved for this year, one of the quarterly subjects is water quality, and just so happens we're in it now. So John and I will have a portion of your water bill next month that will speak to the high level of water quality for the system itself. So we'll go through that. So anything, I know you brought it up, is it that sufficient to?
Yeah, I think we as elected officials need to be sensitive to, the truth is that, our water meets all our standards. It's won awards in the past. We don't want to get into a social media tit for tat, but we need to be supportive of what's happening in WWA and the River Authority. And we've got high quality water going out there. I was reluctant to respond. I hardly ever do anything on social media, so I didn't want to just jump in and respond. But I think as we
I think
can
it is
refer
a concern of many residents, and they go, "So you really think you have superior water?" And I go, "Well, yes." And they go, "How do you know?" And I go, "Because they report it." Well, other
Same way
districts
you
have
know
reported.
Orzaka, right? They,
Well,
they're better. That's all I know.
I mean, Detroit was doing the same thing. They were reporting, but it wasn't honest. And so there are questions. And I say, we can use that right out of the faucet. We don't have to have all these filters.
Right.
It's fine. But people are very suspicious.
The website has a very nice document, 3 pages, I think, has all the contaminants,
Right, all
what the standards
Yeah.
are,
levels
and
that
what
we
our
have versus
test results were.
CCR.
And it's when these other organizations come up with standards that are different than what the legal requirements are, and they want to compare our water quality to theirs, you get into a uncharted territory. But I think that we need, if any of us have concerns of water quality, we need to bring it forward and have that discussion. And then if we're comfortable, we need to be proponents or, spokespeople for the community, look at the data, use the data. And
It is a third-party test, right? It's done outside
The state of Texas.
state of Texas.
Yeah, we don't, we have to report that.
And how often do they do the testing?
We have, what is it, 154 tests a month? Yeah, this is not just whenever we want to
The
thing.
tests are coming out of, not
The
just
community.
at the community well,
Throughout the whole,
like through, people.
You say throughout the community, different faucets?
different households, yep, different
Oh.
testing sites.
And it's not an option.
No, it's highly regulated.
This is something we do at requirement by law and we send it out. I think I try to tell people I drink Woodlands water. I don't have any plastic bottles and stuff. Speaking of plastic contamination, all that water is sitting in it. But I think I really wanted to talk to John sometimes about having a bottle made, non-plastic, that had Woodlands water on it. I drink Woodlands water.
That's cute.
If you're really,
Just can't be a cardboard bottle. That's all.
no, exactly, exactly, or plastic,
I like my
no
little.
plastic bottle.
I have a
So
little-
I just, yeah, I wanted to bring
But
that.
it seems to me if there's a company involved, there could be something like a cease and desist. If you're really into stopping it.
Yeah, I think one of the things is chlorine is a thing. You know, they test for heavy metals. Chlorine is a heavy metal. So when you're seeing something come to your faucet and you've got chlorine, I mean, we're bringing, you know, even when in the water towers, there's chlorine put into the water to keep everything sanitary. It has to get to our, it has to, I mean, it has to get to our door clean. Right? So if you want to filter it out, and we've talked a little bit about filtration before, how can you get it, all that out of there? You know, so when you're having come to your door, you don't want all these other things that we've been testing for. You don't want E. coli. You want to keep the water clean, and the chlorine helps to do that. So, you know, we do have great water. However, we have to get it to the door. And that's something to consider because, you know, when they do these tests, they test for heavy metals. I'm like, oh, look at that. Well, I mean, our chlorine is.
Chlorine's not a heavy metal.
It's not. That's, thank you.
Well, there are, I mean, when you're testing for that, it shows up as a heavy metal.
Chlorine's not a heavy metal, but their point's taken. I mean, it's something that's in there that some of them don't put in it. But ours is supposed to be chlorinated, and then that chlorine is dissipated throughout the transmission system. And by the time it hits us, there really shouldn't be much chlorine in it.
I mean, it's in
Gas.
it's in the monthly report. It shows what chlorine levels were.
Right.
Okay. They're very low.
At 1 to 4 needs to be there, and typically they try to hover just over 1, roughly between 1 and 2. Such that by the time it does get to folks,
Yes,
it's almost,
dissipated.
So I think good discussion and
But I'm glad I hadn't heard or hadn't seen anything like that. I'm glad you pointed that out.
yeah, this wasn't a surprise. I mean, we see these probably a couple a year. And, you know, we try to combat it with the truth through our channels instead of.
Yeah, it happens all the time. I mean, I've had them come to my door and I said, don't even start. Don't even start on me.
Real quick, so, in the back view, there's a, article that went out on the ditch stuff, and then also we had several thank yous from residents. And the only other thing I had was to kick it over to John to go over a few things, including the annual report.
Everyone get the supplemental here, did make it in your packet. Applications for it and the annual update. And the application report. Yeah, I got 2 things made here. Yeah. Go. The monthly has, yeah, examples of current materials as always. Eric noted that longer piece that went out in community impact on ditch assessment. And then also wanted to point that out as we were talking about that this coming month's bill ad will be on water quality, and then our focus in the next quarter shifts to water quality. So you'll start seeing a lot more about that. I wanted to spend our time on that annual update. Know that not seen this yet. But what we need to do tonight is make any edits you want to see and then get this ready for publishing. Hopefully approved tonight. I did note there is an error here on it's that 3rd bullet down under accomplishments, kept mud 7 taxes low. Those figures are incorrect. You lowered it 3.9% from 2023 down to 0.115302, and I have to pull that 23 number, but I've got that. I'll just I'll make those corrections as needed. And then anything else you see in there that you want to change?
It's probably been, I've been struggling with the last one. It's because in fact, our tests have shown that we don't have any of those plastics in our water. But then I hate to open that can of worms because the next day we find some, but
Well, I didn't put it in there because I didn't want to presume that,
that's what I'm saying. I would like you to talk me out of it.
I couldn't do that.
But I mean, it is a case where you say we're gonna get right on it,
Requirements well in advance.
right?
We will meet them well in.
But on the other hand, we've already done that.
Well, we've already met it, but have we tested the water for the
Yes.
PFAS?
Couldn't find
So
a
we
thing.
could say,
You think
that we
that
don't
bad,
have any.
Eric? Eric, what do you?
We have not found it in the water.
I mean, you think it's wise
About
to
half the districts have gone.
leave it out or?
I mean, it is a topic that is, in the news. A lot of people are
It
starting.
seems like we could say that at least at this current testing is showing.
but are those results official per se?
Yeah, they're official.
Official, but has Med 7 been included in those?
And are all of the items that are listed in that regulation, have they been tested for? I know that there was some difficulty with some of the tests, finding someone to do it.
We didn't find anything that this law addresses or these rules address.
But were those samples specific Med 7 or it was across?
I think we-
Completed.
7's been completed?
It was Mud 7.
Okay.
So, none were found. So
I mean, I don't know how to phrase it, so
Specifically say that-
currently or as of.
Currently, none are found.
Yeah, or below levels, however you want to say that. It was, I think, below detectable or is what they said on the report.
Like,
So maybe after the first sentence, we'll say currently Mud 7 water
Initial testing.
initial testing.
Initial testing is showing no presence. I think that'd be good to add, because I said I have a lot of questions about, to me, about do we find any or do we have any?
I just took it in favor.
And right now I'm able to say no, and it's not likely because we're mixing it with,
Well, two reasons. Yeah, we're mixing, the groundwater is not gonna have anything. And we're not in an industrial area where it's been dumped. It's surface water.
And so.
Yeah. Yeah.
well, if there's contamination, yeah, I mean, that can happen anytime. But the reason groundwater doesn't have any in it right now is because it's about 1,000 years old.
Right.
For consideration of time, I can work with Kim on wording and circulate that around.
I'm not
make
making
sure-
that.
Yeah.
No, I would have,
But I mean, if you're.
when I wrote it, I would have included it, but I thought that I didn't want to be presumptuous.
What I'd like to do is have you guys take another round of this and send it, can you send it out as a draft and we can provide you any
Yeah,
feedback?
I think we'll need to do that. That's fine. But we'll want to get that wrapped up I think we do it by Friday. We'll be fine.
It goes out in this month's bill.
Yes.
Yeah, that's,
So that come through you then, Jess?
Yes, well, yeah, I'll send that out. I don't know, should I send it to you, Marta, or send it to the group?
You can send it to the
I
group.
mean, if she sends a meeting to all of us, or,
That's-
we don't want to do that. We'd
Yeah.
rather it come
We'll
to
send it.
you.
you send it and our commitment is to get you any comments back by Friday, close of business.
Yeah, I mean, we'll want to do a couple rounds. I want to incorporate that and then I imagine I might be getting comments individually. So I'm going to incorporate that, send it back out for final approval. So
Sooner the better.
I would propose that we empower Don and Eric to take our feedback and assemble something that, I mean, unless you guys feel obligated to,
Yeah.
you want to see the
okay, I just want to
final.
make sure.
Are all the topics that you see?
I just, like I've said, I want to word it so that we're not saying,
Yeah.
just because it happened next Tuesday, initial testing shows or whatever.
Yeah,
something
I think
like
initial
that.
testing shows no
I don't have to
issues,
see
or
it.
shows that we're meeting expectations.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. But I mean, I think that gives us a chance to read this at home tonight or tomorrow and
I agree.
and
I need.
if anybody has any heartburn I mean, just hills to die on. Make it clear to John that if this comment's not included, I don't want it to go out. And if you get any of those,
Otherwise, we're
then
okay.
we'll run the fire drill and get you
Good
something.
job.
So, okay,
We'll get that out to you first thing in the morning.
okay.
All right, thank you.
Eric, that's the end of the GM.
Yes.
Okay, trustees report. Try to keep this very fast. Starting page 94. Now you can read, Hartford did a nice summary on Region H planning. And if you're interested in big picture stuff, there's some websites you can go to. Financials, I guess the only thing I'd ask Eric to maybe alert this group on is WWA's cash reserves are currently at less than 1 month reserve. Is that correct?
Well, as of the end of the audit is how the
Yeah.
resolution works.
So we're looking for an update, and if it remains below that, there'll be some action, potentially either change the policy or WWA could come back to the MUDs and ask for a adjustment, which would move money from our reserve into their reserve. Okay. Brian, is that close to what you and Paul talked about?
Yes. Just a question of whether it's a change to the policy, as you mentioned, or if it's an exception on a one-off basis. And that's something Eric will need to visit about.
Yeah, because we're at 90. I mean, we're real close to 1, and we try to keep it as lean as we can, near 1 instead of near 2, which puts us in a situation year in, year out, hovering right at 1.
Yeah. But we will have, I mean, not that I want to pass it through, but the fact that we've got potential excess funds coming into MUDs, this is a time that it would be almost transparent.
We'll shoot for 2. Kidding. Yeah, that's a good point, though.
Yeah,
That's good.
okay. I'd rather do that than
Yeah,
wait for,
makes sense.
yeah, okay.
Makes sense.
Really, really important. In the bottom page 94 is the plans for the all MUD meetings in April, May, and June. So you guys are working on dates for that and location.
And that's what we kind of.
Yep.
That was phase 1. We've got the dates already. We'll be sending those out soon, so we can get it.
So those would be really important.
Will they be in the evening or?
It'll be in the evening.
It'll be in the evening across the street,
Okay,
community center.
so you're inviting the public to come and listen?
Inviting the MUD. It's an all MUDs meeting.
Oh, just the minutes.
It will be officially a public meeting, but it will be, yeah, the intention is to give the MUD directors all at once an update from the consultant on where they are on the condition analysis.
And I guess not spelled out here, but this is a slip in schedule by a month or two from when we thought we'd have everything earlier than June. So, but this is fine. It doesn't present any significant issues. It's just a change.
I don't think it is though, right? I think April's the draft of the condition assessment or the,
Originally, it was March. And
oh, it is
yeah,
March,
and
okay.
it was spread.
They added the concrete.
Yeah, the concrete, I think, I don't know that it added 30, but they're thinking about 30 roughly.
Presentation wise, because June is going to be the AC water lines, right?
That's a separate,
Yeah, that's different.
it's a separate meeting.
Yeah, my understanding is, yeah, these 3 meetings are treatment plant, period. I don't have any, I'm not looking at any all MUDs at the moment or AC yet.
But we talked about that as an additional meeting.
We did, but I don't have that schedule.
Okay,
All
okay.
that's all I'm saying is I don't have, I've got the 3 scheduled for the treatment plant. We'll work on getting a date for the AC stuff.
The other thing on page 96, the community working group, call attention to the April 2nd next meeting.
I will
Where you
be
said
there.
You will be there.
I will
Okay.
be there.
Any other questions for either Eric or I from a trustee standpoint, meeting standpoint? Okay. Any need? No need? So we don't reconvene? Any items for future agendas? So we'll handle the annual letter via email from you or somebody?
John will fill it out this week and then get it to you.
Anything else special we missed after next month? Okay. That, I'll close the meeting.
Thank you.
Let's adjourn.